ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Capital Trust Research Private Limited, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to our research webinar on technical analysis, interpretation of daily technical analytical charts, which is the 15th of a series of webinars. Next week, you will be having a technical analysis webinar in Sinhalese too. If you have not seen our previous research videos, you could see it on the Capital Trust Research YouTube channel. Capital Trust Securities is ranked #1 in the current financial year 2021-2022 so far in terms of transaction turnover and brokerage turnover. It possesses probably the largest local client base in the Colombo Stock Exchange, as it had executed the largest number of transactions in the Colombo Stock Exchange even last month. Capital Trust Research has identified fundamentally attractive stocks, and only on those stocks has been WhatsApping technical charts of stocks with indicators to guide clients to buy at the correct time. These efforts have made our clients even over 275% year to date, and even made the market buoyant during all COVID waves too. It is my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Sarath Rajapakse. It is not incorrect if I say that it is Mr. Rajapakse who introduced technical analysis to the Sri Lankan capital markets. He held top managerial roles over the years abroad and in Sri Lanka. He was a director of People's Merchant Finance PLC and was a director of Capital Trust Securities and is currently a director of Capital Trust Properties Private Limited. He was a Special Commissioner of Greater Colombo Economic Commission, now BOI, and he was an Assistant Director General of Sri Lanka Tea Board. He also served as a Senior Consultant for the UNDP, UNICEF, and UNESCO. He has over 40 years of experience in technical analysis and trading in the forex markets and stock markets in Hong Kong, Australia, and Sri Lanka. Mr. Rajapakse has a Master of Financial Management and Economics from the University of Curtin, Western Australia, Master of Finance with Honours in Financial Risk Management from the prestigious University of Massey, New Zealand, Master of Economics from the University of Colombo, Bachelor of Science from the University of Peradeniya. He is also a Fellow of the Institute of Training and Development and member of the British Institute of Management. You could type your questions in the chat screen during the presentation. Please limit your questions today to technical analytical charts only. Mr. Rajapakse will be happy to answer popular questions as and when received. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. We are going to have a quick session on how to interpret the charts and the charts we send every morning for each stock as well as the index, and identify the buy or sell or hold signals, and you will be able to hereafter, without any help, look at the chart and then arrive at a very intelligent conclusion and decide on what to buy and what not to buy, or what to hold and what to sell. Okay, here we are. Let's start our program without wasting any more time. I think all of you have logged in by now. And let's start the program. Right. Let's start with the recently high-performing stock, Sri Lanka, and this is the first bout. Now, each of the stocks covered daily, we send 8 charts. First chart has 2 things. One is the parabolic reverse, stop and reverse. Now this is the parabolic stop and reverse. Okay. Right, you can see here. I'll make it a better pointer. Page up. That's the point. These dots here point to the parabolic stop and reverse. Now, this can be adjusted. This has been adjusted to default settings. And what happens is, if this bar, candle bar, happens to come and touch this only, a sell signal will come like this. This is a sell signal here. That's a sell signal. That's a sell signal. So it had been going through a flat area till people knew what they were doing, really, because it started as a small stock and then changed its focus, became an international company. And as a result, now it's really a multinational, only owned by Japanese as well as Americans. And you see that this dot is down here. It's a long shot for it to come to that point. So this has more potential upwards than downward. That's what the first chart indicates. If there are any, and apart from that, this first chart we send also has Fibonacci resistance lines, these dotted lines here. This, if there is a whole line like this, that's a 100% retracement from the previous high. And when but it's not a resistance, it's only a psychological barrier. See, there was some barrier here. That barrier is because of a psychological thing. People think, oh, it can't go more than that. That's because the previous high had been 70, so 70 is the top. What they do not know is that the stock has changed its nature completely. And as a result, it has become a high-end stock value, several hundred rupees. So it keeps on moving up. And from the out of the 8 charts, first chart itself tells you a lot. And let's look at the second chart we sent for Expo. That's called the Japanese Ichimoku Kinkō Hyō. We call it, they pronounce it as Hua, I don't know, you can pronounce it as Hyō, right? Ichimoku charts. The key thing in Ichimoku charts, don't worry about how we construct it. I did a program on that before. And the Japanese people during the Second World War years, a person developed this, and he took 30 years to perfect it before publishing. And now Japanese, Chinese, and all those Eastern people exclusively use this Kumo cloud. The key element of this chart is this cloud. See? You don't see it as a cloud, but because Metastock shows it as series of lines. When these lines, these center lines, not the upper line or the bottom line, those are the boundaries of the cloud. These vertical lines, when they are green, I hope you are not green-red colorblind. If not, you can get somebody who is not to come and tell you whether it's green or red. When this one turns red, right, and it becomes a sell signal, right? When it becomes like this here, it's red here. When it's red, it's a sell signal. So this is a simple chart. Even an illiterate person can see green and red, except colorblind person who also can be helped by another person who is not colorblind and tell the person whether it's green or red. The green, these center lines, Metastock for some reason has put it as lines. Many charts made in Japan have it as a cloud itself, because cloud in Japanese is Kumo. The key element of this analysis is this Kumo cloud, or Kumo or cloud. We don't say Kumo cloud because Kumo means cloud, right? When it's underneath the stock candlesticks, and when it is green, it is a strong buy signal. It seldom fails you, right? Then the third chart we sent, already you would have made a decision, is the MACD chart, moving average, convergence, and divergence. When this green line, which is a short-term moving average, crosses the long-term moving average from below and goes up. The moment it crosses, see how early it gave the signal? It gave the signal just before the takeoff of Expo. So very early, you got the signal when to buy. It's not a late signal, very early signal. Buy. Coming from below the line, red line, crossing the red line from below and crossing over to the top side and moving up. And ever since, it has been moving up. Even now, it's almost vertical. And number two, you can draw from this MACD chart is the orientation of the long-term moving average. It's bent up. If it's bent up, long-term trend is upwards. So whatever people say, whether it's overbought or why too high and all that, it is not. It has plenty of scope. There is plenty of information that may not be available to the general public, which says that Expo has a long way up to go. It may be several hundreds of rupees, or even nearly 1,000 rupees as it is moving. Because we do not know, because they are operating in international markets. The sky's the limits once you get to operate in international markets. Ours is, we must admit, is a small market compared to the US or UK markets, where interest rates are near zero. Only way for people to invest is in the stock market. So if people say where to put money, the place to put money is only in the stock markets. Okay. Let's go to the third chart we show, is the famous John Bollinger's Bollinger Bands. There are two bands, the standard deviation bands, the green ones, which are limits to which stock can move, and the trend band here. Okay, when the trend is up, central trend is up, and the upper Bollinger Band has not been crossed. It is going to cross. It is going to touch this. Whether you like it or not, you'll soon see 200 or 205 on Expo Lanka. Mark my word, and that is where you will find it. Okay. Here we are with the famous RSI, Now, all this while many people were talking about RSI being showing overbought or oversold because they didn't know exactly how to interpret the RSI. RSI, as the name implies, is the relative strength of the stock compared to other stocks. It is at a very high level, and at this level, right, somewhere here, it's about say I estimate it's about 90 or so, and at that level it's a very strong stock. That is all you can say. The name doesn't say overbought indicator, not relative overboughtness. No, it's not at all. Some naive analyst will say it's overbought. RSI is high because it's easy to get the RSI. They do the RSI and you get it on free internet chart providers like Investopedia and all the rubbish. And result is that they have no other analysis other than RSI to rely on. Okay. And excuse me. And then the blue line, on balance volume line. Earlier I used to plot it with the first chart, but now I've relegated it to a second chart because to show that we need only two things. That is the candlestick chart, for which we have the scale on the right vertical axis, and the RSI and the OBV. It's a different axis it requires, and that is this left vertical axis. And you see this blue line is the OBV line. Now, how to interpret the OBV line? The maximum it can go to is vertical, right? So it's near vertical. If it is flat, hold. If it is vertical, strong buy. In between, very strong buy here. It's almost vertical. So OBV is also a very easy indicator to interpret. Look at the blue line. If the blue line is near vertical, it's a strong buy. Nearer it is to the vertical line, it's a stronger and stronger buy. Never go wrong if it is at that point. So, mind you, this is without looking at any fundamentals or any news you know about the company. That is, we technical analysts believe that all that is there to know is reflected in the prices. Current prices reflect all the news in the field. And therefore, what you have to know are the past and the present prices, nothing else. And based on that, we predict that it can go vertically up. Right. You mark my word for it, it has the potential to move up quite a lot. Then another very sensitive index, a stochastic index. Stochastic index is an oscillator which oscillates up and down, and there are two lines, percentage K line and the percentage D line, right? Percentage K line, Dr. George Lane's creation, which is very sensitive. I remember in Hong Kong, there was traders who used this one exclusively, nothing else. They come and see, hey, I want to see the stochastic, that's all, nothing else. And the story of the stochastic is that the line, red line must be, we look at the end of the red line and the end of the black line, not the history of the red or the black. That is totally irrelevant. We can even shorten the horizontal axis to this area now. Just this area. Just a small, narrow vertical chart would have been sufficient, but it looks ugly like that. So it's better to know the history as well. What are the short-term? Yeah, there's a question. I'll answer that. What are the short-term and long-term flow fast lengths you have used for MACD charts? I have just put the default. I have not changed any of those from the default parameters. These are metastock default, but you can change them if you want, but I haven't changed them because I find it excellent. Right. This is the stochastic. So this is percentage K and percentage D. Percentage D is simply the moving average, 3-period moving average, exponential 3-period moving average of the percentage K line. Right? We remember this is the close minus low and high minus low taken as a percentage. So this one, if the red end of the red is above, mark my word, not to the left, not to the right, but even if it's there, if it is above, vertical axis above, then it's a buy. Buying potential is higher than the selling potential. People are on the buying side rather than on the selling side. It's a minority who are on the selling side. So you know what happens when there are more buyers than sellers. Okay. Then the other thing we show, I think this is about the 7th chart we show for each stock, and that is the directional index, average directional index, which is this blue line. Okay. When it is high or turned up, it is saying high dominant direction. Now, how to find what is the dominant? What is above? We see that the plus DI or the positive directional movement or upward movement is way above the negative directional movement. It hardly goes down, it always goes up, though maybe with fluctuating rates. Sometimes it goes down a bit, but most of the time is going up. On the whole, upward directional movements are more than the downward directional movements. Therefore, the average directional movement shown by the blue is rising and is way above any of these. So that tells you which way the market is moving. Is the market moving up, or is the market giving more weightage onto the negative directional movement? Now, as it is, you can see positive directional movements or upward movements are more pronounced than the downward. And hence, average directional index is up. Right? Sometimes in some stocks, you will see later, they are even vertically up, where the stock is moving just vertical, right? Any questions you can direct to the number given to you. And this is accumulation distribution. Are people accumulating this stock? No doubt about that. They accumulate at fluctuating rates. Sometimes they there is backward movement, pause in accumulation, like this fall here, this plateau here and here. But on the whole, it has moved up very high. Most of the time, they have been accumulating the stock. Now, currently, there had been a slowdown a little, but that if people thought, my God, how can this expo go up so much? And they start taking profits, right? Even pretty knowledgeable people are doing that. But it shows great potential to go up. This is without looking at any of the fundamentals. I am telling you straight from the prices, nothing else, right? Next, we come to the next stock we are going to analyze. By now, you know much about it, right? There is a question. Let's see. Connection between price and volume, important. Obviously, price must move with volume. Just one stock moving up in price, one person pushing it up with one buying one share high above, can't move the index up. It must, it's both are important, price as well as volume, right? It's the total. That's another question, okay? Huh? Ravindu is asking, what are the leading indicators and lagging indicators? Leading indicators forecast something before they happen. Lagging indicators are those that tell you, depending on what happened, this is what we can say. So there are some with predictive ability, some which says you look at the past, analyze it, and tell about the future. Okay, those are the leading and lagging indicators. There are different types of indicators. Some look at the past, some try to predict the future, because they are based on where it is going rather than where it has been, right? Then look at LOLC. A different stock. This is a typical stock which is depending on capital gains. It's a non-dividend paying up to now. I don't know in the future whether they will pay. So it depends on, there are value stocks you hold, and where you realize a big capital gain and you sell it at a higher price. There are many stocks, even in the US market. There are stocks that never pay dividends, but they are now few $1,000s each share, right? Because all the profits have accumulated and is added to the capital of the company, and therefore the company is worth that much more. Then there are other which pay dividends, very hefty dividends, very attractive dividends. That is very attractive to the older generation who substitute low interest rates paid by banks with dividend paying stocks, and the dividend itself is sufficient for them to live on dividends. Okay, so we'll see some stocks of that type, but LOLC group is a capital gains or value adding stocks, which you see it somewhere today. We expect to see it at a higher price in a few years' time, right? But in LOLC's growth has now reached a stage where it could grow very fast, right? It is now around between 600 and 650. And let's look at the growth it has made. It has gone above the recent high. That's 100% Fibonacci psychological line, not a Fibonacci line. And it has gone 61. It's going towards the 61.8% appreciation line, right? We will see some stocks which have gone to about twice 61% mark, as well as thrice 61% line, right? So it has great potential, and people who do not know may be selling it. In last trading days, they have sold it. But when they realize there is not a stock to be sold and bought, it is something to be, unless of course you need money, you want to liquidate your position, in which case you will have to sell it. But only way to get an income is to buy and sell it. And instead of paying commission, brokerage commission, and other selling and buying costs, you can hold on to it. And Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, he started small as a small boy, buying a few stocks, and now it's a huge company. Never paid dividends, always accumulating wealth. So there are companies like that, right? There are some companies who grow and then after that they split their shares. Ichimoku, look at Ichimoku, you see a huge Kumo, green Kumo, or a green cloud, which is underneath the stock price, which is a strong buy signal, right? This is just a 20 period backwards we project to show you this line that is going there, that green line up there. You can't see it because they are almost virtually obliterated by the candlestick. That's why it's pulled back here, right? And it's put forward another line to show the short-term support. Okay, it can't go down below that. Right. So Ichimoku, without any doubt, says buy. Right. MACD buy, strong CC short-term moving average moving up, and the long-term moving average curved up. Right. Higher the curvature, better it is. Further this end is away from the red one, better it is. So you can easily, at a glance, say that it's a MACD buy. Let's look at the Bollinger Bands. The very long time moving average is curved up. This is on the upper standard, 2 standard deviation line. And to be overbought, this is a good indicator. If it's overbought, it goes like that. See this candle, this dark green candle, it's above. The next candle is, say, is coming below, showing that overboughtness was discovered and people sold it, right? And then after that, they bought it. You don't do that too much. When you see the candle inside, you buy it. So next trading day, say perhaps on Monday, you might see it going and touching the 2 standard deviations plus line and somewhere here, right? This line will come here and this standard deviation will come and cut that. Okay. Let's come to RSI and OBV. OBV, because of that movement down, trying to get into the Bollinger Bands, and share came down a bit, and that is shown here. But on the whole, you can say Bollinger the OBV is on its way up with slight kinks. It can easily turn upwards and go near vertical. OBV, somebody is asking the, oh, wait, I lost this question. Somebody is asking if the OBV is higher at the current market price and the current market price is still below. No, you don't have to look at the current OBV. You look at only the orientation of the end part of the OB. It's ugly to draw only the end on a chart, so we show the history of it. It is irrelevant. What you want to see is whether the current orientation of the OBV is more towards vertically up or more towards vertically down, right? It's a little below the horizontal, so people have sold it. That's a fact we can see from the price bars also. There's a negative price bar. So that end can easily turn up. More vertical it is, high buying pressure. That is what it says. Don't try to make any other inference than the buying pressure and the selling pressure. That is what it says. It's not telling anything about the history. We are not worried about the history with the OBV. OBV is what is happening just now as of the last trading day. At the last trading day, it has come down. So obviously OBV has to come down. Otherwise there's something wrong with the OBV. Just like the RSI has come down. The green line is the RSI. But they are well above the 80s. Anyway, it has come down. So we don't have to worry about that. The relative index is 78.83. So that is fairly high. Old-fashioned brokers might say, it's overbought. It's not an overbought oversold indicator. It's a strong. It tells only whether the share is strong or weak. Okay. Stochastic, clear buy. Stochastic says that currently the buyers are extremely stronger than the sellers. The red line is way up above the black line. So without any doubt, you can say that LOLC will go up on the basis of the stochastic. Right. Then we have the directional movement. Directional movement is up. The ADX is turned up. ADX is up, and showing that the dominant trend, which is the upward trend, green line, is dominating the red, the tendency to go down. See, the red ones are few and far between. The green ones are more abundant. Everywhere you see green. Here and there you see reds. Accumulation rising. See, like this. Accumulation levels are rising. This the end turning down is because of last day's trading. See, came down a bit. That doesn't worry, but the long-term trend is up. You can watch just day after tomorrow is Monday, so you'll see what will happen, whether what we said is correct or wrong. Here's Bill Brown's investments. It has broken the 61.8 up and going towards the second 61.8 Fibonacci line, and on its way had a breather. Okay. PSAR, the parabolic, is way down. No chance of it becoming a sell signal. It's always buy. Unless you get a candlestick coming and hitting this. You know, it can't hit that. It's far, far away. It's almost like Expo. Ichimoku green. It had been red, mind you, for a while. See? But now it's green. So, and it's far away from the candlestick. No chance. Mind you, if you see, I don't think we see any like somewhere here, where the cloud or the candlesticks are inside the cloud. But when that is happening, you see you have a buy cloud, but people are not buying actually. Therefore, price is not going up due to thorough ignorance during that part. It's our fault not showing the Ichimoku those days, and it's going horizontally. You don't know whether to buy or sell. So it has been going at 6.5 level like this horizontal. Right? It should have, the moment it turned green here, it should have started buying it aggressive. Unfortunately, there are no Japanese in our market in numbers yet. If you have, they would have started aggressively buying when they see this green cloud appearing. Right? The Kumo chart is especially drawn to look at this cloud. And here the green cloud appears, people are not responding. Okay, but so even belatedly, you know, you have a belated response here, and it's going to go up. There's no problem with Bill. MACD way up, you see, it came to touch, but then it went up, it shot up all. Now it has come to a different territory altogether. We might have to soon change this right vertical scale, because it's likely to go into another domain somewhere here. Right. Bollinger Bands. Long-term trend up. Exhaustion fall here, but it's likely to come and hit there. So don't sell the bill. According to technical say, don't sell bill. Actually, the Bollinger Bands say, don't sell bill. Whatever you do, don't sell bill. Okay. And here you have what the OBV showing that recent kink there, but it was going near vertical. Yeah, this shouldn't have occurred. But it occurred, so we recognize it. It is trying to get into the Bollinger Band, upper Bollinger Band, and it did. The next step will be to go and hit the upper 2 standard deviation Bollinger Band next time. Stochastic way up. You can see the stochastic. It is way up here. Big gap. Showing that there are more buyers, despite the stock falling, there were more buyers than sellers. So the trend of buying is far exceeding the selling trend. So don't waste your money just buying, selling a stock like this. Might as well you buy and keep hold. Right. That's the directional movement. It's up. It have been going vertically up. The side bend because of this small kink there. So I hope on Mondays it will be around. We'll go past that 12, 13 mark. Accumulation. People have stopped accumulating a little. That's why this downward trend. But it's high time they start accumulating it more because people think they'll have to learn more about bill, what they are up to before. So it's up to the people who promote bill to tell more about it, the actual facts. Being reticent doesn't serve their cause. They'll have to tell what bill is doing and what potential it has. So more news is needed. That is what this chart indicates. See, after such a huge climb, it's just falling, or some people prematurely taking profits. They look fools if bill goes to, say, 15 or so, somewhere around here. Okay, Royal Ceramics. Now, from the capital gain stocks, we move to dividend paying stocks of the Haley's group. And here we are. That also had a small, fall here, but it had gone past the all-time high. That's the 100% retracement line. When ASI last time reached 9,000, that is where it went to. After that, the fall. And now it has gone past that. But for 61.8, it has some way to go. Maybe that this is just after their dividend paying cycle or whatever it is, or whatever news. There's bad dissemination of news rate in Sri Lanka. The right news doesn't reach the market fast enough, and the company must start issuing news about the company, not just keep it keeping it to themselves. And as a result, it has fallen, but it's a high dividend paying stock and must have in your portfolio. Ichimoku buy. Have been a Ichimoku buy for a long time. People didn't respond. As I told, it's our fault. We didn't have the Ichimoku charts back then to show that it should go up. Right, and see, the green cloud appeared here. The stocks are down. Stocks should have gone way up. So it's a high time that the players in the Colombo market learn, get hold of a Japanese, hijack him and ask, how the hell do you interpret the Ichimoku chart? He will tell you, as soon as you see the green cloud, close your eyes and buy. Right, and Ichimoku is you go to Japan, they will stay in the Tokyo market, they don't use anything else but this. So it's a strong buy signal, far away from the candlesticks, far away down. Further it's down, better it is. If this red line comes down and the green line goes up and the cloud becomes a big cloud like this, better it is for the stock. MACD is up. You can see that very clearly. Bollinger Bands are up. The long-term moving average curved up. And overboughtness was there. And it has come down and to here. And therefore to here. It has ended up here. So it's time for it to buy slowly and keep on to the upper standard deviation line, which is rising. It is rising, we know, because this is rising. Therefore, it is a stock that should be gradually accumulated. Right? If you have any questions, please forward, right? And here we are, the RSI and the OBV. RSI is here, which is 73.8, relatively strong. And OBV is that except for this inward movement on Friday, we had this king. It was near vertical and people were accumulating it. Because there is this stupid thing people do, during a dividend cycle, just after the dividend is declared, they sell the stock. I mean, that shouldn't be done. It doesn't pay you. That commission you lose by is offset by the fall in the value of stock. If you hold on to it, stock will recover about that. So upward moving stock, don't sell just after the dividend paying cycle. Right? Dividend was paid, I collect the dividend, so I sell the share. That's a stupid thing to do. Right? Stochastic is up. There's no two words about it. Red line is way above, the end of the red line is way above the black line. So I got the board also just to show this, that it is not the left to the this one, even if it's here, it is above this end. It's the end of this and the end of this on the vertical scale. This vertically above. It can be here, can be there. It doesn't make a difference. As long as the end is above the end. So what matters is only the end. Even if you show only the end and nothing to this side, it doesn't matter. But I mean, it looks odd just to show this end. It doesn't. It's not informative if we don't show the recent past history at least. So we show that. But what matters is really the two ends. Is this above that? Above this? Relative to this end of the black, is the end of the red above? Then be more buyers than sellers, likely to move up. Even see this short spell of selling, right? Doesn't affect the stochastic much. People will again start buying. Right, directional index. Now, by now you know how to interpret it. The plus DI or the positive direction, positive trend is up. Negative trend is tendency is down. That means the upward movements are dominant. Downward movements are suppressed by the upward movement. And therefore, plus DI is up. This kink is because of this last Friday's fall here. But that's a temporary fall. So on Monday, we can expect a market surge. Right. Lanka volatiles. Right. Lanka volatiles gone past the 100% psychological level, going towards the 61.8 plus, right? And that is around 90. Oh, the entire Haley's group has this problem. They have completed the dividend declaration cycle, so people who are entitled to the dividend have thought of selling that and buying something else, but it's not a wise move. If you work out how much you lost as a result, it is not a wise thing to sell a stock just after the dividend is paid. What you lose by way of buying and selling is more than what you gain by a simple arithmetic you do. Lanka volatile, a huge green Kumo underneath the bars with no ambiguity. It is saying that share is moving up, right? MACD up, Bollinger Bands up. So there's no doubt about its current movement. Relative strength fair. Relative strength is still only 64%, showing the previous indicator showed it should warrant more strength than what we observed. But anyway, that it has great potential ahead, more than anything else. Right. Stochastic up, K% way above. And the D% K is high above the percent D. It's showing high and aggressive buying. Right. Again, directional index up, and the dominant direction is becoming stronger. That is the dominant direction. That is the positive dominant direction. The negative subordinate directional movement. The few downward movements, what we see here. Yeah. So accumulation distribution, people are slowly, they have started accumulating, and then there is a small reduction in the accumulation rate. They are not buying it fast enough. That is what it says. Lanka tiles, we have just passed the 100% psychological mark. Moving towards the next target here, somewhere here, which is about in the lower 90s. And once that is covered, it is, as you know, it's part of the Haley's group, so dividend paying stock. Kumo is plus, has been plus for a long time. Market had not responded due to pure ignorance that it should have been somewhere here and moving up. But what to do? We don't have enough Japanese interpreters who are doing that, and our brokers. Apart from us, I don't know whether anybody else is showing Ichimoku, which is exclusively used by Japanese to the exclusion of all other indicators, because that has paid them well, and their stock markets are doing, despite the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs, the economy is booming. Before China came to the second position, Japan was the second biggest economy in the world. And so MACD is buy. Bollinger Bands buy. This is uncalled for. This is after getting the dividend sell stupidity and allowing others to get in. And OBV showing that uncalled for selling. It should have been up always, almost gone near vertical with the high demand for tiles and exporter. And stochastic is up about this, showing that despite that fall, stochastic keeps on climbing. ADX, average directional index, is up. The positive directional index is moving up. Negative directional index is there. It has shown some life because of that recent sell-off. This one is totally uncalled for due to misinformation. Right. People have, that's a recent fall here. The products, another stock which is moving towards the 100% line, but still not gone. The demand for their products are high, so we expect it to move up and go to that. So it's totally underpriced. It has not even gone to the 100% line yet. So it has a long way up. Upward potential is much higher. Ichimoku is green and way below the candlesticks. So next movement here will be up. MACD is up. This is bent slightly up, the long-term moving average. Short-term one is way above the long-term moving average. So it's a clear buy signal for dip. Bollinger Bands long-term moving average curved up, and it has potential to go up to about 70. OBV had been near vertical here. It has taken a small setback or kickback, pullback, and it's moving up. So we'll expect all these shares to move up a little more from Stochastic had crossed from below and gone up. The end is above the end of percentage D, and therefore, despite Friday's fall, it is really showing a buy signal. You see, end of the red is above the end of the black. That is how to interpret. See, you might think all this is a wastage, but can't help it. You know, there's space available, so we have shown that out. Okay. Still, the uptrend is stronger than the downtrend. So the uptrend, because of this movement, has become weakened a bit, and downtrend has become strengthened a little. But overall, dominant trend, which is the upward trend, is going flat. Accumulation, people have stopped accumulating the stock because people holding it have not been lately accumulating the stock. So there is a fall in the accumulation rate. There is more distribution. Sellers are eagerly making, they're not, you can't say they are making money, they are making unwise moves because we don't have short selling in this market. So we don't, because no short selling, you can't make money by selling. You can only, you know, waste your money by selling. Right. MGT Harris fabric. Again, an uncalled for. I don't think any economic or political or whatever it is warranted this sell-off in this one, except that post-dividend blues. Apart from that, there was no reason for this fall. Nothing bad about MGT. It's a fabric provider to the domestic blossoming garment industry, and only thing that we have to take into account is that it is way past the recent high 100. It has gone up to 61.8% to 61.8, and going towards the 361.8 levels. So Fibonacci lines are that. Plenty of potential, upward potential there. A stock to be accumulated. And these are dividend paying or income stocks. So no harm having it in your portfolio in large numbers. Right. Then we have the Kumo cloud. The green Kumo here shows strong buy. And excuse me. So the stock price is not compatible with the strong Kumo showing. Not surprising because not many Japanese. So those brokers who have contacts with Japanese clients must, encourage them to come, because I haven't seen anybody showing what Ichimoku charts in the local market, and therefore, since we provide Ichimoku charts every day for every stock, is something that can be aggressively promoted for the Japanese, because their markets are saturated, but not ours. So our market has long way to go up. As you can see from the price rises and the length of the green Kumo. Right, MACD is up and it's going up also. It is going up. Bollinger Bands clearly up with a lot of potential. See, this one can easily go and hit 40. Here, 40, 41 level without waiting overbought. Right. So if you have money or margin left, buy on these underpriced stocks with high potential to go up. We have OBV, which was near vertical, has taken a breather at the last end by somebody selling off. I don't know who he is. Maybe some broker who's margin constrained has sold off client stocks. And you have this Stochastic still up for Bailey's fabric. So it's anyway, our information today is enough information for anybody to know what should be accumulated. Bailey's fabric, ADX is way up, dominant positive trend, subordinate negative trend. There's no way that this can come and dominate this over this. So This fabric is something that will move up aggressive. Accumulation, as I told you, is not enough. It has to go way up there. Accumulation, somebody is asking, define accumulation distribution. There are two types of people in the market: people who are buying and holding them, and people who are reducing their portfolios of that particular stock. So therefore, portfolios containing that particular stock. So when accumulation is more, the people who are buying and holding is more than who are reducing their stock portfolios of that particular stock. That is what we measure from accumulation distribution. More people buying and holding means stock price will go up. More people selling and reducing their portfolios containing that particular stock will their distribution will dominate. Browns, we come to this another part of the LOLC group, another capital gain stock, and it's way underpriced. Does not even come to the 100% retracement level, which is 265. So if you want a capital gain, you can buy here and maybe sell there, because capital gain stocks you can't expect dividends, but you can only buy low and sell high. A green Kumo is appearing, just started appearing. Recent surge in buying. So stock has started appreciating since of late, and it has plenty of upward potential there, especially due to its connection with the LOLC group and with certain developments which we can't disclose until the company discloses. And we have the MACD up, and the end of the long-term moving average slowly edging up, slowly, very, very gradual. If you look at, keep a ruler there, you will see that there is a small upward convex move, concave movement there, right? So you can expect a high capital gain all of a sudden. Maybe that people think that if LOLC moves, why not we buy LOLC or bill rather than Browns? But well, more the merrier. More capital gain stocks in your portfolio, more money you can make. Bollinger Bands moving up, long-term moving average curved up. It's not anywhere near the second standard deviation, 2 standard deviation line, upper Bollinger Band. So plenty of capital gains. Even if you buy now, the share is at this price, the low end of the candle bar, and you can make say about 10 rupees per stock, per share, right? There is the accumulation rate. Recently only this jump in accumulation, only set back by Friday's sluggish movements. And Browns, you see the stochastic also has come and almost touched the K% line, has a percentage K line has come and almost touched the percentage D line. So it's a neutral indication from stochastic. No aggressive buying pressure. ADX though is the uptrend is always dominant. Upward movements are more pronounced than the downward movements. And the dominant upward movement is becoming stronger. Well, Brown and Company, on balance volume, OBV has become almost vertical just for these few days, despite the Friday setback. Right. We have Haley's, the main member of the group. Of a main member is variable one, but Haley's is the main member of the Haley's group, and it has already made considerable progress. It has, with ease, come through the 100% psychological level, and even touched, without a problem, gone over the first 61.8 barrier, Fibonacci barrier, and is well on its way to the second Fibonacci barrier, which is at 140. But let's see what will happen. Remember, it's a dividend-paying stock, and so those who are going for dividend payments will look at it. A green Kumo was there here, ignored. Nobody reacted to it. And another green Kumo is there, but of course now people know when to buy, and here the surge. We expect the Kumo to become thick and thicker in the future, and you'll see a big jump in Haley's. Right? That's MACD. This recent surge has sent the short-term moving average line up, way above the long-term moving average, just started turning up after a long plateau and a small decline. It has now turned up, started turning up. Right, Bollinger Bands up. Plenty of scope to go and hit this. So if you don't have it in the portfolio, see that you add to it, because it will help a big portfolio gain. Excuse me. Right. We have here OBV, which has become neutral, but had been a few days ago, had been nearly vertical, showing that there is a small reduction in buying the stock going up, and RSI is just 84. So strength is still there. Stochastic has improved from here. It has come up so that we'll see a more aggressive buy in the short term. ADX is moving, showing that the dominance trend is becoming stronger. Dominant trend, as you can see from the chart, is the dominant trend is the green line, which is the upward trend. So we expect the upward trend to become stronger. So here is we expect a surge in prices shortly. Right, accumulation has become subdued, but because of the other indicators, we can say that accumulation will turn out. It's a lagging indicator, so it will show the result of the near future movements in the stock. Right, variable one, another dividend paying Harris Group stock, and we see it's in fact the at the apex of the variable line, and it's still very sluggish, surprising. And so there's a lot of potential for it to go even to the 100 percentile, which is about 90 odd. So that's a stock in which we might see a short-term move. Remember, it's a dividend-paying stock. Green Como has appeared below the candlesticks. So want a capital gain? This is a stock to look at. Right, MACD is up. You see Bollinger Bands are up. The central long-term moving average line up. And it has become a little overbought because it has gone up too soon. So it's likely to straddle this line here. And we expect the lines, the two standard deviation or the two standard deviation up line, this one, this green line, to move higher and widen. Okay. OBV has it's a bad day for the program because we are coming just after a small profit-taking binge on Friday, and you see most of the popular stocks which have been moving up have moved down on Friday. So this kink towards the downward direction is observed in common by almost everything. An uncalled for thing is common in naive markets where people are not very experienced traders, and excuse me. Stochastic has no problem. It's up percentage K, way above percentage D. Right? It's a very important indicator, this stochastic. You can see, say I can remember in Hong Kong, people clamor around this one just to show the stochastic. That is the only thing they ask. Many, vast majority of the traders look only at this stochastic, and they we didn't at that time, to be frank, knew the real significance of this stochastic. This later on only we realized that why they go after this stochastic. In fact, I asked one of them, and they said, this is the most, my whole life depends on this. I buy only when this is above this and sell when it's below that. That's it. I don't look at anything else. Okay. So to start using it, you will also be like a Hong Kong trader. Okay. ADX, or the average directional index, is up, and the dominant direction is upward trend. So we expect a big capital gain in this stock, as I told you before. OBV has been near vertical, only except for the Friday. King down. Well, we have the something from a different perspective, or some stock which is different from what we have analyzed up now. M.Econ, which is not in focus here hitherto, but it is something to look at and see there's big potential upward move, and a green Kumo has appeared after a long red cloud layer. A red Kumo that has been dominating it. A green Kumo has come momentarily, but again it became almost reduced to nothing. Then again now widening. So bigger, it's becoming a bigger Kumo and further removed from the candlesticks. There's an ideal position, and on Kumo basis or Ichimoku basis, we say it's a buy signal, a strong buy signal. MACD buy, this is curving up. Bollinger Bands up. That's a typical overbought, after lingering inside this, even going to the extent of going under the central moving a long-term moving average line. Here it goes and does a wonderful trick of going up. We jump, exhaustion, creating an exhaustion gap here. Slightly overbought position. So this gap has to be covered, and this two outside Bollinger Bands must widen. It will widen because it's the 2 standard deviation plus and 2 standard deviation minus from this line, this point. So since it's moving up, we can expect these 2 lines to widen. Right, OBV is vertical. One of the few stocks that didn't come down on Friday. So we have a vertical OBV showing that there's heavy buying pressure on it. And RSI has become stronger, going towards a relative strength index of 79. Right, stochastic has moved up. Percentage K is way above the percentage D, showing a very strong bicycle, right? Positive directional index become extremely strengthened, a big change, and a minus directional index or the negative trend becoming more weak, or ADX or the sum of these, that is the dominant index, which is the plus DI, becoming stronger, and ADX is showing that average directional index has become stronger. So the positive directional index. So we can expect jolly well that the share will move up during the coming week. Right, Mr. Corp, accumulation, people were selling it off, distributing it, but all of a sudden they have developed, I don't know what the news is, what the cause is, but they have started buying it. Right, in fact, it has gone way above the exhaustion gap here, and gone up here, and even on Thursday, intraday, it has crossed even the plus 61.8 above the 100% psychological line. So I don't know what the news is, or what is the cause, that you must ask from the fundamental people. Right, a Kumo cloud that has built up very reluctantly and has become now widened, and the stock is way above that. So Richard Perry's exports is something worth looking at. This, if I may recall, that there was some incentive given for rubber goods exports by at the last cabinet meeting, and so they are expected to gain from that. Richard Perry's exports, you can see the widening, sudden, after long sluggish movement of this, sudden movement up, almost going to the extent of becoming overbought. That is why this downward movement on Friday. Right? If you are wondering why it moved down, that is why it moved, and ended here. So there was some frantic buying, and OBV was near vertical during the past few days, except on Friday. Stochastic is up. So clear buy signal from the stochastic, and directional index. We have the positive directional index moving up, and average directional index near vertical. So that's a good positive stock, rather underpriced still. So something worth looking at if you want a breather away from the traditional stocks we were buying. Okay, here we are. We are seeing a stock with an opposite trend. John Keel's holding. PSAR up to 2 days ago had been sell, just 2 days of buy here, but it has gone down 23 points. It has yet to come even to the 50% retracement level from the recent lows. So it has a long way to go. And recent restrictions on fertilizer exposure, will weigh heavily on this stock. So naturally, you have this selling pressure. The candlesticks, though there is a slight weak Kumo above, but it's above the candlestick. So this has to be below the candlestick. This is a oversold situation. Despite a buy signal, share going under the Kumo is an oversold situation. This has to go up above, maybe 240 or so. We will see how it goes. MACD sell. Bollinger Bands sell. Go on the lower side of the Bollinger Band. And this is flat. And the standard deviations are narrowing. Okay, John Keel's holdings. The OBV is down. And RSI very weak, only 42, below 50, which is showing inherent weakness. Below 50 means a weak stock, right? But of course, interestingly, JKH has a stochastic up here, showing some life in the stock. Some life in the stock. Major stock, of course, in the market. So we can see that due to some reason, maybe this pullback here shows that it has brought the stochastic up. For a long time, the stochastic has been down here. Again down. Again down. Only for very low these things, because we starting from a low base. Even a small kink like that brings the stochastic up. Dominant direction, this is the first time we saw in a chart, the dominant direction being the negative one. But it's been challenged by the positive directional index at the last trading day. So, but the average directional index is getting weaker. Accumulation, there's no accumulation, there's more distribution than accumulation. You can see the falling blue line showing there's distribution rather than accumulation. At National Bank, same story. Naturally, the current movement in interest rates discourage people from bank deposits into the stock market. So the banks are having a tough time, which is indicated by the whole series of, so there's no big upward movement for the banks, except for this and this. Other movements are all negative, and again another downward cycle has started. A red Kumo underneath showing a sell signal. Right, MACD is surprisingly up, and this is slightly edged up. So it is the only buy signal I see. And also Bollinger Band is up, and this has widened, showing some life in that, despite being a sell signal in all that. Even the OBV has shown a flat trend here, but it has shown a vertical line here, and you see the RSI has weakened to let's see 58. Right. Stochastic, if you enlarge this part, you see that it has just come and touched the black line, and maybe you see a faint red color just above the black line. So it's not a convincing buy signal in the stochastic. Directional index, positive directional index coming down, negative directional index going up, but still the positive directional index is the dominant one because it's above the red one. So it has shown some sort of a gain. HNB out of the banking sector, I suppose, is showing some life. Right? HNB is accumulation distribution. People, since of late, has been accumulating it, going up. Right. Commercial bank is down. The downward trends are dominating except for a narrow. Otherwise, the downward trend is the dominant trend. You can see in the banking sector as expected. After a green Kumo here, no reaction from the market. Red Kumo has appeared as expected, and so on Ichimoku, no buy signal. We have MACD buy, Bollinger Bands neutral, and well, OBV is up at the last trading day, and RSI weak, but it's almost neutral. It's at 51. Stochastic, unfortunately, is a sell. Clear sell. Positive directional movement is falling. Negative also is falling, but at a slower rate. So still the dominant trend is the positive one, but it has become neutral. It's going horizontal. Right, commercial bank, we have this is the accumulation. Just during the last few days, there have been some tendency to accumulate the stock. Sampath Bank, as expected, all from a banking sector company, is also down. So this is not all in all, it's not a good time to invest in the banking sector. A red Kumo right? Despite a green Kumo, no reaction from the market. It never managed to come up above the this one. Perhaps there was at that time no Ichimoku here. Well, MACD has shown some life though. Bollinger Bands neutral, and RSI is falling, fallen to 52, showing a flat trend, sorry. And OBV is falling, right? And so right. And stochastic just edged below the black line, showing just the commencement of another downward trend, right? And the average directional index has moved up slightly, and positive direction has fallen down, and the negative directional movement has gone flat. Well, what is this? The accumulation distribution. Distribution is far more than the accumulation. Thank you very much. And so that's we have covered almost all aspects of the market, in the sense what is popular with accumulation stocks, or rather people who are going for capital gains and who are going for current income gains, or whatever it is, so that we have a very all-round review of the market. Hope to see you in about a week's time, and we will now conclude our program. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rajapakse. If there are no further questions, I would now like to close the webinar. If you are a client and do not get our research reports, please send a WhatsApp to 0777-233-633 number. On behalf of Capital Trust Research Private Limited, we wish to extend a sincere thank you to Mr. Rajapakse for imparting his knowledge on authentic technical analysis in a series of lectures. We also would like to thank our technical analyst, Udana Valivitikuda and Jinendri Jayatunga, and our staff for organizing this webinar. Last but not least, our valued clients for their participation, which we greatly appreciate. Thank you very much and have a nice day.